Greetings and welcome to Catholicism and Coffee. I am Stephen Gosensky, joined by the great Christopher Immanuel Chance. Chris, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm able to sit in a chair, so that's good.
Yeah. Well, here at Catholicism and Coffee, we talk about Catholicism, all things Catholic, and enjoy some great brews. I am not showing my mug too much because this is not one of the CNC mugs because my wife was doing like 6 things at once, and then I asked her to make me tea. Yeah, I know. This is one of the few episodes I'm not drinking coffee, but and she forgot to grab the CNC mug, but that's okay.
Speaking of coffee sins, yesterday I accidentally broke the coffee thermos by knocking it over.
Oh no, that's starting us on a sour note. So to start off with, happy All Hallows Eve, everyone. The start of All Hallow Tide. It actually is interesting that it's starting on a weekend this year. If you want to know about All Hallow Tide and a little bit about All Hallows Eve, we actually do an in-depth episode in one of our previous episodes. I am not going to provide the link, but you can find it in our playlist. I think it's all the way back in season 1, but it could be in season 2. I'm not sure. But we talk about All Hallow Tide in some detail. Another thing, I put this in the description of our video. We have a new book out. Well, new-ish. As you know, our first couple of books were the Christmas and Advent devotionals. Now, we expanded it. We added a lot of zhuzh to it, just enhance it. And there's actually, for those of you who already have both books, you could get the ebook of the extra stuff. Like we have traditions and celebrations and stuff like that. But anyway, the original book is actually in the description of this video. Not too expensive because we wanted to make it affordable. So if you wanted to have a study or something to further increase, something to pray with and reflect during the Advent and Christmas seasons, that is a book that is a resource that you can have. And as I said, there's an ebook with just all the extra zhuzh on there. So yeah. Or if you're feeling really adventurous, you could grab the Film Forming Faith book. I did not grab my copy, but fortunately, Christopher and I spoke offline beforehand and has that ready. Oh, he's level and modeling it quite lovely. Thank you, Christopher. So anyway, all right. Okay, enough of the zhuzhing. So today we're going to talk about the film Van Helsing from, I believe it was in 2004, is when it was released, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. It did not do well in the box office. It did not do well critically, but it's one of those.
I find that hard to believe.
It's better than thousands of movies 20 years later. That's what's so sad. Over 20 years later, and I'm looking at some of the CGI and I'm like, oh, there's a couple of cringe shots in here, but they're better than a majority of movies that are like 3 times its budget. Because it didn't have a huge budget. It was a low budget film. And that's why, even though it had such a low budget, it did not do well in the box office, which is sad. I actually went to see it in the theater when it first came out. So yeah, it makes me sad. And
I think I might have seen in the theater as well. I don't remember.
Oh, I did. My mother was gaga for Hugh Jackman. So that was I was interested in it because I like I had a mild curiosity about the Universal monster films, even though I hadn't seen any of them. But I liked Stephen Sommers, who wrote and directed this, because he wrote and directed The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. Both those films I still hold to a high standard. They're good movies. They're not the greatest movies, but they're good. They're fun. So I was like, ooh, he's making a new movie about Van Helsing. So, yeah, it's sort of Van Helsing, but also isn't. We'll get into the lore of it a little bit, I think, in this review. So, all right, Christopher, why don't you give your thoughts first, and I'll just about the movie overall before we hop into the theology and other junk of it.
Um, well, this is film is one of my guilty pleasures. I'm not going to pretend it's an overall good film. Honestly, I don't think that's why people watch Van Helsing. They watch Van Helsing because they want to see his Gatling gun crossbow super soak a flying vampire chick, among other stuff. And no, I am not making that up. That actually happens in the film. Yeah. As I became more accustomed with the Universal monster films and later the lore behind it, I appreciated Van Helsing more as essentially a low budget love letter
Yeah,
to Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. I agree with the nostalgia critic that this film is essentially Stephen Sommers taking out his action figures and smashing them against each other, because the film has more action sequences than it does explaining what the heck is going on.
that's a good point.
Oh, and it also has a incredible Hulk version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a la Alan Moore's. I think it was Alan Moore that did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
It
So
is.
that's the other monster that appears in the film,
Yeah.
voiced by none other than the late Robbie Coltrane.
Oh, he's so good.
So, Harry Potter fans, if that's the only thing you know him from,
I
then
knew.
we can culture you a bit more that he's appeared in other stuff.
I knew about him before Harry Potter.
Well,
I
yeah.
watched him in Goldeneye.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Ralph Fiennes and some of the other actors. Like when you see somebody in a thing first, it's kind of like, oh, wait, they were in this as well.
Hmm. I knew about Ray
Yeah.
Fiennes before Harry Potter too, but I'm that weird movie guy who looks for. I can recognize voices and
Yes.
faces. I'm like, okay, what were they in? And then I
Mm-hmm.
thank God for IMDb.
Oh, and speaking of special effects, yes, the CGI is dated, but I have to say, Van Helsing has one of the coolest werewolf transformation sequences I've ever seen in a
Eh,
movie. Because I don't
uh,
think I've seen any other that does it like the way they do it in that
yeah,
film.
um, it holds up pretty well. Up there with me with Werewolf, American Werewolf in London. Um, for wolf transformations because most of them are terrible. Um, but the ones in Van Helsing are pretty solid,
Mm-hmm.
and they're it's campy.
Do not take this film seriously.
No,
And
it is
pray to
campy.
God that Stephen Sommers wasn't intending to take it seriously.
No, if you've watched any of the behind the scenes or bloopers or anything, he is not taking himself too seriously. He makes fun of himself on a regular basis. There's one point where he was trying to direct an actor to act like something, and then it was such bad acting. He goes, "See, that's me acting. That's why I'm back here." Um, uh, the self awareness is there, and it's such a. Whenever I think about someone like Stephen Summers, I'm like, "Oh, this is such a nice breath of fresh air compared to some other directors. Most modern about 90% of modern directors, because they take themselves too seriously and they're not half as good."
Oh. So, should I mention we don't talk about the Tom Cruise Mummy remake? About how if you think about it, it tried to do what Van Helsing did.
I have never seen that film, and I have
Uh,
no intention of seeing it.
okay, if you enjoy movies and are acquainted with classic monster movies, I am cautioning you to not see Tom Cruise's The Mummy unless you are morbidly curious at how bad it could be.
Well, the other thing is I found out later that it was written by Alex Kurtzman, and he is on the list of people I loathe the most in show
Oh,
business. So, yeah, I'm not going to waste my valuable time. I'm going to watch things that I'll actually enjoy.
yeah. And
So, yeah,
the Tom Cruise Mummy, speaking of American Werewolf of London, it blatantly steals plot points from that film. So that'd be one reason not to watch it.
uh, good thing no one's watching right now. They just saw me break down on camera just now. Why did you have to mention? Why did you
Hey,
say that name?
I am trying to caution people
That's
away from bad films that even I cannot stand.
considering how many people you've broken with movies. That's pretty bad. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. But no, this film's actually enjoyable. It's a good guilty pleasure movie. I mean, and it's not that it's like overly sexual. There's like tons of nudity and tons of cursing. There isn't. Um, on either side, it's PG-13 for the violence.
Yeah, the brides of Dracula dress
Provocatively.
promiscuously,
Mm,
but and yeah, I guess if you're tempted towards certain sins, you could use that as an excuse not to watch it, but it fits in character and they don't, at least I don't think they attempted to make a big deal about it in the film.
they didn't. I mean, the worst thing Van Helsing does. I just watched this the other night. Actually, rewatched it the other night. The only thing that was that Van Helsing himself says, "Oh, with three beautiful women for hundreds of years, what do you expect to happen?" Like, I there is logic here.
Yes. Yeah.
You're wed to beautiful women for hundreds of years. Yeah, things are going to happen.
Yeah. For a minute there, I thought you were going to say one of the dumbest lines in film that I've heard during that scene, which was, and this is kind of going to the plot point. I don't know if it's too early for it, but
Go,
it's
go
like,
for it.
yeah, it's like, oh,
The movie's been out for 21 years.
vampires are undead. It makes sense that their children would be born dead.
Oh,
I know what they were going with, but and when I watched Van Helsing twice, because I had to watch it twice for this review, for reasons I'll explain when I get into when we get into the theology of it. When that line occurred, that clip from Jerry Maguire that you always like to play in your Troll the Dungeon series on YouTube, that immediately went in my head as this line could be a candidate for that famous clip. What you have said is the dumbest thing I have ever
I'm really
heard.
sure which clip you're talking about. That one is.
And I haven't seen the film that clip comes from, so if I
Me
just
neither.
created
I just
cinematic
find that line.
heresy, I apologize.
No, it's okay. I haven't seen it either. I just find that clip hilarious, and it's so apropos for modern writers because um, I'm of the opinion they can't write smart characters because a majority of them are incredibly stupid. Um, but yeah, there you go. Anyway, let's get into it. My thoughts on the film, definitely a guilty pleasure film. It's not. It's PG-13 for a reason because of the violence, and I mean, there's graphic. It's a little graphic, but it's computer generated graphicism stuff. There's when we're doing spoilers. This is a spoiler full review because the movie's been out for 21
Yeah.
years.
And
Um,
even if it wasn't, we can't talk about this film without spoiling it because there's so much to talk about within reason.
yeah, within reason. And there's a scene where when Dracula's finally killed, his blood burbles out of his mouth and such, and I'm like, okay, but it's a little gross, and it looks more like an oil slick um, from a Star Trek TNG season 1 episode. Um, maybe that's how it. Maybe it got transported to Vagra too. Who knows? Um, I love that episode. I don't care what anyone says. I love that episode. Um, but in the so there's that. I think that's the worst graphic thing that we see. Most of it is implied. I mean, we see the vampires disintegrate, but it's not.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think all the vampire deaths is where it gets explicitly graphic. Not that
Yeah,
like, oh my goodness, you shouldn't be seeing this, but just in terms of how bad it gets.
yeah. I mean, I've watched Blade. I've seen all 3 Blade movies. So I mean,
Are you
that.
still trying to skate uphill?
No, I don't skate. Only ever be one blade. Sorry, Wesley, fellow Floridian brother. They still haven't made a Blade movie over at Marvel. What's up, guys?
Well, on the rumor mill back when it looked like they were having a Blade movie, I'm told the reason why they didn't do it is that the script sucked. And not even the people at Disney Marvel. Keep in mind, these are the same people that released Ironheart. Like, not even that was, and the fact that it kept being rewritten on. Yeah, it just wasn't going to be made.
Nah.
And then with the Deadpool and Wolverine, with Wesley Snipes returning in the role now, really, unless he doesn't want to do it, any chance any other actors going to get is very slim.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have seen Mahershala Ali, but because he's a fantastic actor, but oh well, whatever. Anyway, so Van Helsing. So we have the plot of the basic film is we have Gabriel Van Helsing. I am going to lament about this in a minute. Is sent by by a secret group in the Vatican. We'll talk about this later. I'm going to keep saying that a lot. Is sent by a group in the Vatican to go after Dracula, who is tormenting this town in Transylvania. And they're
back when it was actually Transylvania.
On the far side of Romania. And he has to, eradicate the Dracula, his brides, and all kinds of other vicious creatures. The movie starts off with actual Frankenstein. The whole "it's alive" bit.
Yeah, both the doctor and the creature.
Yeah,
because there's a difference. Van Helsing movie.
Yeah. I'm fighting the urge to do the line, but okay, I the urge is gone. Thank God. I do want to see the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein. I also want to watch Kenneth Branagh's version, but I'll get around to it at some point, I'm sure. So, another thing. Okay, Chris, I know there's one thing we're not sure about theologically. You tried to find a theologian to kind of answer this question. What's our first theological gripe about this
film? Well, no, I guess gripe can be accurate. So, do I just talk about this one thing, or can I talk about the entire thing that this is tangentially related to? Because the way I have my notes,
just fire both barrels. Let's get it over with.
All right. Okay, let's see, because I have 2 plot points I had to put notes on, and this is the second one. So, yes. All right. So, the driving theological plot in the film presupposes the existence of purgatory. And yes, the entire film, and this becomes funny when you think about it, presupposes that Christianity itself is true. And you have to keep that in mind when the silly elements of the film occurs, is that it's presupposing Christianity and to a lesser extent Catholicism is true.
Mm-hmm.
And Van Helsing, I'm going to ignore the incorrect first name they gave his character.
Well, there's actually a plot point about that I'm going to gripe about, but we'll get to that when we get to the monster lore itself.
Yeah. He's tasked by his superiors within the church. It's a fictitious equestrian order within the church. And yes, church knightly orders exists, but this is fictional. Even though mutual friend to the show, Gabriel, he did say that the one thing the film got right is if there was ever an actual secret monster hunting society and these monsters actually existed, it would be the church. That's in charge of it. But any event, as we said earlier, he has to journey to Transylvania and kill Dracula. One of the reasons why is so that the Valerius family, both living and dead, can be released from purgatory and enter into heaven. Now, yeah, you can gripe about that all you want, although I will say that this means our main protagonist, our hero's quest, is holy and religious in nature, which, speaking for nostalgia, was a nice touch to find in a movie, because sadly nowadays you don't get something like this, and many modern films will actually go out of their way to be against Christianity, to my annoyance. So in any event, the nature of this plot for his quest, they also ties into biblical concept of generational sin, and that will go into the monster lore in this movie, as well as misconceptions on how indulgences work, but those are topics for separate videos, because that's not actually what my note for here is on, because I have to stick to purgatory. And because I know purgatory is confused, I do have quotes from the Catechism, which will actually explain it. So if the audience can bear with me on this.
We probably have quoted a lot of the Catechism on the show, as you know. So as host, I have no qualms.
Right. So starting with the glossary at the end of the Catechism defines purgatory as, quote, a state of final purification after death and before entrance into heaven for those who died in God's friendship but were only imperfectly purified, a final cleansing of human imperfection before one is able to enter the joy of heaven, end quote. And then this is where the meat of it's going to be, because these are the actual paragraphs on purgatory. So first is the glossary. Why is my mouse not working? Here's what the actual, okay, let's see, before I lose my place. Oh, yes. So this is paragraphs, for those keeping note, paragraphs 1030 to 1032. Quote, all who die in God's grace and friendship, but still imperfectly purified, are indeed assured of their eternal salvation. But after death, they undergo purification so as to achieve the holiness necessary to enter the joy of heaven. The church gives the name purgatory to this final purification of the elect, which is entirely different from the punishment of the damned. And for those who don't know, that's referring to the souls in hell. The church formulated her doctrine of faith on purgatory, especially at the ecumenical councils of Florence and Trent. The tradition of the church, by reference to certain texts of scripture, speaks of a cleansing fire. As for certain lesser faults, we, referring to the church, must believe that before the final judgment there is a purifying fire. He who is truth says that whoever utters blasphemy against the Holy Spirit will be pardoned neither in this age nor in the age to come. And that's from the Gospel of Matthew. So this is Jesus being quoted or paraphrased. For this sentence, we, the church, understand that certain offenses can be forgiven in this age, but certain others in the age to come, which, is a logical conclusion. If Jesus is saying a group of sins won't be forgiven, then after death, then that implies there has to be a group of sins that would be. Anyways, moving on, this teaching is also based on the practice of prayer for the dead, already mentioned in sacred scripture, and this is from the Deuterocanonical book of Second Maccabees. Quote, therefore Judas Maccabeus made atonement for the dead that they might be delivered from their sin. From the beginning, the church has honored the memory of the dead and offered prayers and suffrage for them above all the Eucharistic sacrifice, so that, thus purified, they may attain the beatific vision of God. The church also commends almsgiving, indulgences, and works of penance undertaken on behalf of the dead. Let us help and commemorate them. If Job's sons were purified by their father's sacrifice, why would we doubt that our offerings for the dead bring them some consolation? Let us not hesitate to help those who have died and to offer our prayers for them. And then later on in the Catechism, this is when it's discussing the topic of indulgences and the punishment of sin. It references purgatory, which is why I'm quoting it. Right, so, quote, to understand this doctrine and practice of the church, and this is paragraph 1472. So, to understand this doctrine and practice of the church, and by that it's referring to the doctrine and practice of indulgences and its relationship to the sacrament of penance, it is necessary to understand that sin has a double consequence. Grave sin, that is mortal sin, deprives us of communion with God and therefore makes us incapable of eternal life, the privation of which is called the eternal punishment of sin. On the other hand, every sin, even venial sin, entails an unhealthy attachment to creatures, and by that we mean anything that God created, which must be purified either here on earth or after death in the state called purgatory. This purification frees one from what is called the temporal punishment of sin. These two punishments must not be conceived as a kind of vengeance inflicted by God from without, but as following from the very nature of sin. A conversation which proceeds from a fervent charity can attain the complete purification of the sinner in such a way that no punishment would remain. So, in summary, the doctrine of purgatory is that those, by the grace of God, do not die in a state of mortal sin. Because remember, if you die in a state of mortal sin, you're going to hell. But nevertheless, had some sort of venial sin and or earthly attachment that does not make their souls completely purified to be in God's presence in heaven, are, by the further grace and mercy of God, purified of such impurities, and this would be using an analogy of removing imperfections from gold, so that they might be purified to stand in the presence of God in heaven. It is further church teaching that all souls in purgatory will eventually end up with God in heaven. Now to the gripe. How the film depicts purgatory. I'll be honest, I do not know where the writers were coming up with their information when it came to theological matters. This film does not have perfect theology, and this required me to rewatch this film twice. First, to analyze it for the review, and second, just to enjoy the movie. Now, to be fair, the writers are operating on a common misconception of purgatory, which holds that purgatory is a prison where souls are being kept until they are magically freed by acts performed by pious men and women. As to Van Helsing's... Yes?
Yeah, I was just putting
sorry,
references up there for everyone for later. So if they want to look it up, I'll hold it up there for a few more seconds. But please continue.
Yeah, and as to Van Helsing's Holy Quest, the film also seems to be under the assumption that a Christian can essentially turn himself and the members of his family into what veteran players of Dungeons and Dragons would label as oath spirits, which is a trope in fantasy that holds a particular soul or group of souls are barred from the afterlife of the just until some task has been completed in the mortal realm. And yes, I just referenced Dungeons and Dragons. It's okay. A literary example of this is seen in The Lord of the Rings, where Aragorn summons the Oathbreakers, the ghosts under the mountain, to fulfill a task for him, since Aragorn was the legitimate heir of Isildur. Now, to the issue on whether someone can make an oath powerful enough to keep both himself and his or her descendants trapped in purgatory until a certain task is completed. Stephen and I were discussing this earlier. I couldn't find a answer for this, but if you ask me and Stephen, we don't think a Christian has this power in real life.
I mean,
But
and I don't believe God would allow it.
yeah, there is that as well.
The only one who could possibly be in that much of a bind, because in the film, it's revealed that Dracula is the son of one of
Valerius the Elder.
Valerius the Elder. So if there is one person who would be punished by God, it'd be Valerius the Elder, but that's stretching it.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and there's the question of the sins of the father coming onto the son, or the sins of the son coming onto the father, and that's
yes,
I don't know.
But anyways, to complete the initial note to show how all over the place the theology in this film is, there is a precedent in Christian thought for the reality of restless ghosts, because that's essentially what the Valerius family would have been reduced to had he not killed Dracula. So that right there isn't what the heck were you smoking? Because there are many saints that have quite literally talked about the concept of what we would today call restless spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the practice of indulgences when done correctly according to the laws of the church. Sorry. To be offered up for a particular soul in purgatory so that soul can be brought into heaven by God's grace and mercy. So, again, Van Helsing's holy quest in the film isn't too outside of reality, but they needed a theologian in their movie, even for one as silly as this. It's like, no, stop it, no.
It's apropos that we're talking about this today, about this today, considering it's the start of the Protestant revolt. I said what I said.
Yeah. Yesterday, let's celebrate the division of Christians.
No, it was October 29th.
Yeah. No, I for some reason I was thinking it was the 30th because that's how it's always celebrated today as Reformation Day.
29th.
Or as we like to call it, Revolt Day.
Yeah, it was the 29th, and it brings me so much disdain since that particular day is important to me. It makes me angry. I'm like,
sorry, I just got the reference you made.
It's like, God, why did you do this to me? And here I am, now an apologist. Why'd you do this to me? I already know I was late, but come on.
I guess it could have.
Are paying attention, you probably figured it out. Or for
Yeah, I
those
guess it could have been a worse day.
There could have been a worse day.
Yeah.
June 19th.
April 3rd.
Oh. It's true. Anyway.
Which, on the Julian calendar is the historical date of the crucifixion. April 3rd, not June 19th. But
Oh yeah. But anyway, on that cheery note. But no, yeah, they needed they really did need a theologian to kind of balance some stuff out. But we could say that about 1,000 movies, and you could just have a priest on a few of these sets just to, you know,
Yeah,
make sure
I
and
would say
basically
this. Yeah,
drench the writers with holy water so they'll actually,
yeah.
not be
You know,
heathens. And
Lady
actually do
Hawk.
good things. Hmm?
Lady Hawk, another guilty pleasure. Probably could
Oh
have
my
used a
gosh, I haven't watched
theologian.
that forever. I need to watch
That film still holds up, but then again, I might be biased because I like that movie.
that. Oh, you might be a little biased. That's okay. I have my guilty pleasure movies too. It's okay. My wife has her guilty pleasure movies, and I've watched a couple of them, and I'm like, honey, why do you watch this? Why do you
Yeah,
watch?
I think for Christmas I had bought my mother the My Big Fat Greek Wedding films, all three of them, because the first film I remember being funny. Well, I mean, well, I don't know if she's watched the other two. I haven't, but I figured, hey, it's all there. There was apparently three of them made. Hey,
And then there was the TV series apparently that didn't last very long. Just My Big Fat Greek Life.
okay, how is a TV show called My Big Fat Greek Life not long lasting? Just from the title alone, you can,
It
like that
should
could
be
be
like
about anything.
it should outdo The Simpsons, but yeah. I'm half tempted to
Anyways,
look this up, but I would get too distracted by my reading.
we're talking about Van Helsing, and I'm not sure
Yeah, we've
which
been hitting
topic.
tangents.
You're,
So, that's one gripe we have theologically with the movie is just the plot point. Um, the whole plot point, the hero's quest type thing. Even though we don't hate hero's quest, we are big fans of it on this show. Especially Christopher and I, and Beth to a degree, because I've actually gone and we have our hero's journey playlist, which we only have one episode on, but we're going to do more at some point, I'm sure. Um, so we have the hero's journey in this film because it's actually an element of good writing. It just could have used some polishing, just a tad. Stephen, my brother, you need to polish that.
yes.
It's okay. You made it up for it with the Fantastic Odd Thomas movie, but sadly, no one went to see it, so they didn't make more. And then the
Oh,
death.
Stephen Summers did the Odd Thomas adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I saw that once. I might have to give that a rewatch.
That's good.
I mean, well, it's based on a Dean Koontz book, so.
And Dean Koontz gave a very enthusiastic approval of the script. So, no, it's good. And unfortunately, the death of Anton Yelkin kind of hurt it more. Makes me sad thinking about it. But no, he wrote and directed that one too. But yeah, that plot point wasn't good. That plot point was a little theologically dubious. Um, while there, he encounters a few other creatures, including the Brides of Dracula, which there are three of them. He ices one of them pretty early on. Oh, cool fun fact. Apparently, Richard Roxburgh married one of his brides in the film as they met on
Yeah,
set. Like, hey,
I think
you know,
it
into
was.
reality. I,
I
I would
think
have
it was
said
the
that.
actress that played Verona, or the brunette, and I might
Oh,
be
okay.
misremembering her character's name. But
Okay.
the one that the behind the scenes said was his actual wife, and that the other two were just mistresses, which you can actually see in the film by the way they interact. It's just like because she's ordering them around.
And then
Since
he
we're a
married her.
family, yeah.
Then he
Since
actually
we're
married her
yeah,
shortly after the movie. So,
yes. So
there you
speaking
go.
of Richard
Oh my god, Roxborough. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's
Roxborough. Due to the level of wonderful chewing he does, something
yeah.
funny is that before I rewatched this film, I actually forgot that was him. I was having it in my head that it was actually Jeffrey Rush
No.
playing Dracula in the movie because, like, he gives such a Jeffrey Rush level performance that I honestly confused the two.
Richard steals every scene he's in. He even outdoes Hugh Jackman a few times, and it's beautiful. Um,
Yeah, he managed to have Dracula make it seem like Dracula and Van Helsing had more romantic chemistry than Van Helsing and the Gypsy Princess in the film, just by the way he delivers the "Oh, Gabriel, I want to sort the details of your past."
yeah, we have such history. Um, okay then. Thought I was straight. Um,
Yeah, no, the nostalgia critic had a great bit on that where speaking of Hugh Jackman, Lauren is like, "Don't you remember the scenes of carnage past?" And the nostalgia critic's like, "No, no, don't do it. It's horrible." And he starts playing a clip of the film adaptation of the Oklahoma musical that Hugh Jackman starred in, which
or
wasn't a bad adaptation if you hadn't seen it.
or he could have just played the whole movie of X-Men Origins Wolverine, because that movie is terrible.
Yeah,
Um,
I like to pretend that film doesn't exist, even though I like making fun of it at the same time.
same, same. But anyway, so yeah, Richard. So there's so many great scenes in the film because the actors are just, you can tell they're having fun. So that makes it a lot more tolerable.
If I was cast as Dracula, I'd probably be having just as much fun had I had that acting talent.
I I'd be hamming it up. I'd be hamming it up. Um,
I'll get the new bride.
Right? How do you know what? No.
That was honestly my favorite joke he does in the film, is just how callous. Like, yeah, I'll just get someone else.
He had good chemistry with uh, Kate Beckinsale. They looked like they were having fun.
Yes. Yes. Welcome to my summer palace.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, and that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie where he dips her on the waltz and then he realizes that every single person in that room is a vampire because no other reflection other than hers is being shown.
Such a great moment. There's a great blooper in that scene where he presents Van Helsing to everyone. And at one point, Richard actually goes, Van Halen. And you hear the cast cracking up.
Yes.
The cast and crew are laughing
Yeah,
hysterically.
or the
Oh,
here,
such a
here
great
the
moment.
fact that during the thinking the bloopers as well, Hugh Jackman kept breaking the props for all the weapons that Van Helsing had.
And then actually, Steven Summers broke one at one point, and they were like, "Oh, you're in trouble." He goes, "One day, when I'm on a bigger budget movie, we won't have problems like that."
So, oh, and because it has to be mentioned, we must not forget about Igor, who was
Kevin
giving
J.
me.
O'Connor,
He was
steam
giving me.
stealing hack that he is.
Yeah, he was giving me so many flashbacks to the 1999 Mummy remake, like all throughout the entire film. Each time he's coming in there, the only thing that was playing through my head was, "Oh God, no!"
So good, so good. It's not a as we said at the very beginning of this review, it's a guilty pleasure movie. Because I mean, there are no Oscar winners here. Although technically, I think Hugh Jackman did win an Oscar for something. I don't remember, or maybe he was nominated.
It wouldn't
But
surprise me.
because he does so many bloody musicals. But
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Okay, I'll stop.
please, we don't want to kill anyone who watches this later. If anyone's singing on this show, it's my wife.
Fair.
Because it sure as heck is not going to be me. But so there's the one theological thing. Van Helsing is accompanied by Friar Carl, who's played brilliantly by David Winham. Okay, let out your rage. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. This is like Christopher's therapy session, so you may have to skip by like 30 minutes.
I'll just say this one thing. Fornication is a sin. It does not matter to what state of life you've been called to. You do not have sex outside of marriage. I don't give a flying F on whether or not, and I censored myself because we're a family show.
Thank you.
And because Stephen asked me to make sure I didn't do that. I don't care if you're a monk or a friar, which is the same freaking thing as a monk movie. All friars are monks, but not all monks are friars. Okay, I think I'm done. Sorry.
Okay?
Yeah, I know it's like
There are a
I
lot
like
of
the actor,
Oh,
but
I
I
love the
wanted to
actor.
pummel his character to the ground. The
I love the actor.
misconceptions. Oh yeah, the actor's Faramir.
Yeah, he's Faramir, and he's in 300, and he's brilliant in that. Even though the movie's, I don't like the movie, but I like his character.
What? What? The 300 movie wasn't that good?
I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I don't like it very much. Even though I actually like Snyder as a director, and I just don't like him writing things. I actually like him as a director, but I don't like that movie.
Anyways, I think before we get off on too much of a tangent, were there any other characters you'd want to
Well, we got
talk about?
our princess character.
Oh yes, Miss, I can take care of myself.
And ends up getting her behind handed to her multiple times, and Van Helsing or the Frankenstein or the monster or Carl have to come and save her scrawny behind.
Yes, when I loved and hated her character.
Yeah.
The parts I like, well, actually I think the only part of her character that I liked is when she's with her brother, the prince, after the prince is killed by Van Helsing, because, spoiler, the prince gets turned into a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
The other times, I was either indifferent to her character, or I couldn't stand her, because, as I once formulated it, she seemed like a 20th century feminist trapped in a 19th century woman's body. Because, tough characters don't need to go on about how tough they are.
No. They just do things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry, but yeah, your character does need help.
Mm-hmm.
The church basically sends Batman as a monster hunter.
You need his help.
Yeah. And yes, Batman is a apt title because if you look at some of his gadgets, I dare you not to think Batman.
Except he has guns and actually uses them.
Oh, well, yeah, there is that. But the grappling hook,
Oh yeah, and
being able
very
to be
long coat.
thrown distances and not have to take a breather before he becomes a werewolf.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous sometimes, and
Hmm.
he's actually willing to kill people.
Oh, and the buzz saws. Let's not forget about the buzz saws.
I love those things. Did you ever play the tie-in game?
I don't know if I have. I don't know if I had
It's
access
so ridiculous, but I
to
love
it.
it. It is so ridiculous, but I love it.
Mhm.
And those
Yes.
buzzsaws are handy.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Best characters in the whole film, the Dwarliks or whatever, the little
Oh,
people.
yeah.
I
The
love those guys.
the
Those are my
evil Oompa Loompas.
the evil Oompa-Loompas. I love those guys. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
There's one point in the bloopers, Hugh Jackman's fighting with one of them,
Yeah.
and it says,
He couldn't
"That
take it
guy
seriously.
is committed." The little actor is so committed, and Hugh Jackman is just like, "You gotta be kidding me!" God bless the little guy because he was into it, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"It's freaking awesome!"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Those are bloody terrifying."
Mm-hmm. Oh. So
But
yes.
so, what's your other theological point? That's
Oh, okay. I guess after this we can head into the monster lore because I know you wanted to talk about that.
yeah. Let's do the other theological point that was driving you
All
nuts. So
right.
do it.
So, and this won't be the first film review to point this out. And I actually had to do research on this to, okay, where are they getting this from, even though it's theologically flawed? Because, the film explicitly states that Van Helsing is supposed to be the, quote, left hand of God,
Mm-hmm.
end quote. Aside from one picture throwaway, the film does not really bother to explain what this means. The I think it was a painting in a Blinkermas moment in the castle they were staying in, which wasn't the two castles being occupied by the bad guys. The painting shows two angelic figures being sent from God to perform deeds on earth, as angels do.
Yep.
As strange as this is, or mutual friend Gabriel's going to hate me for this. I believe the most logical conclusion from the film is that Van Helsing, who is clearly depicted in the film as having supernatural abilities before he's bitten by the werewolf prince, is somehow supposed to be an angel.
Specifically, the Archangel Gabriel.
Yeah, not just any angel. As Stevens said, Dracula and the other characters referring to this angel as the left hand of God heavily implies that Van Helsing is supposed to be none other than Saint Gabriel the Archangel. And yes, if anybody's still watching after this point, you heard me, you heard us correctly. Yeah. If you do not believe us, then ask, why in the film does Dracula explicitly call Van Helsing by the name Gabriel? And if you pay attention, and I think this is correct, he's the only character to do so, and he calls Van Helsing Gabriel frequently, before confirming that Van Helsing is in fact the left hand of God during the showdown between the two characters. Now, to play devil's advocate, it's possible Dracula was lying the entire time. I mean, I have to grant that. But the film depicts Dracula, our villain, as being truthful to Van Helsing when discussing their mysterious share of the past. I did some brief research to figure out if the writers were smoking something upon coming to this conclusion, and it actually turns out that the title Left Hand of God is given to the Archangel Gabriel in Rabbinic Judaism. So there is a basis. They didn't just make this up for Christianity's favorite angel. I lost my place. Yeah.
It's okay.
Now, how Van Helsing is the Archangel Gabriel, I don't know. Obviously, this would be some Tolkien-esque case of angel incarnate like Gandalf and the other members of the Astari. But if that's the case, then this too would be another theological misstep on the film's part, since a character like Gandalf behaves wildly different from this film's take on the character of Van Helsing. On a side note, you could also make comparisons between this film's adaptation of Van Helsing and the late Jack Kirby's original depiction of Donald Blake being Thor, but that might be too nerdy for this film review. Honestly, I wouldn't be qualified to go into details on how this could theoretically work because I'm not that gifted. Honestly, you can bug Jimmy Aiken about it. He would probably have an answer to the question.
Mm-hmm.
But in any event, while the film's depiction of Gabriel is theologically flawed, duh, I do feel some relief that the writers at least made him a masculine figure.
Yes.
I
Unlike,
mean,
unlike say, Constantine. Um.
oh yeah, with Tilda Swinton,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, playing the villainous Gabriel, yeah. And I mean, no offense to certain artworks of the Archangel Gabriel, but I've never been a fan of depicting him as feminine or vaguely androgynous.
Me neither.
Yes. Um, in fact, when I attempted to do a talk on angels for my parish, which didn't go well, not because I said anything heretical, but because I had way too much information, I scoured the internet for an image of Gabriel to use that I liked, and it took a while to find one where he was clearly depicted as masculine. And on that note, this is my opinion, art needs to make Gabriel masculine, since the name Gabriel, as it is spelled, is an unmistakably masculine name.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, for in terms of the plot of Van Helsing is the Archangel Gabriel who murders Dracula back when he was human, and then Dracula makes a Faustian bargain with Satan to become a vampire, after which Van Helsing slash Gabriel is made an amnesiac by God, because apparently that can happen for angels, and he's now stuck for the next 400 years of the film's plot, not knowing who he is. And in the end, when he finds out everything, he decides it's better not to have any memories whatsoever. And yes, this is another film with Hugh Jackman where he plays somebody that doesn't have his memories and the villain knows what the memories are. I promise this is not an X-Men movie.
Although he was making it around the
Oh,
same time he was doing X2.
yes, this was Hugh Jackman in his prime, ish.
Ish. Yeah, ish. Um. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go into Van Helsing lore a little bit. The reason he's named Gabriel is because Stephen Summers is lame. Because he did not believe that he would be able to have a lead character named Abraham. Because in the actual original Bram Stoker novel of Dracula, The character's name is Abraham Van Helsing,
Hmm.
and guess what Brahm stands for? Abraham. And
Yes.
I don't know if this is true. I read somewhere, I could be wrong, that Gabriel Van Helsing actually exists in lore as the younger brother to Abraham. I don't know if this is true, but I read that somewhere. I could be wrong.
I don't know the answer to that, but
I
I
don't
guess in
either.
terms of possibilities, it's possible.
Yeah. So he went with the snothead younger brother. And this could have been written after the film for purposes. And yeah, so that ticked
Yes.
me off.
Yes, Abraham Van Helsing, the Catholic polymath professor and medical doctor who just happens to hunt vampires on the side, is now turned into 19th century James Bond monster hunter.
Basically,
And yes, the James Bond analogy is accurate.
Carl is Q.
Yes.
Why
Because
don't we
he
even
had,
have David Wenham as Q instead of Ben Winshaw? What is up with that?
I think an even more important question is why didn't Gabriel take a sword with him? I mean, I might be biased, but if you're going to take any other weapon with you than to hunt vampires, then come on, take the sword. It's right there. I will not stand for Friar Carl giving this propaganda against the effectiveness of swords.
I would have slapped him for that. That priest showed considerable restraint.
Oh, yeah, and the blacksmith priest was easily one of the most masculine characters in the film.
Staying there with like 16-inch biceps. Well, any idiot can make a sword. Oops, sorry, father.
Yes.
Moron.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. All right. Okay, I needed to get that off my chest. All right, I feel better now. But yes, as we said earlier, we believe this was Stephen Sommers' love letter to monster films, which he also did in The Mummy. Um, and so this is kind of like growth of that to kind of add everybody into it.
Hmm. So, wait, real quick, Stephen. What were your thoughts on what Dracula's master plan was in this movie? You know, where he wants to use Frankenstein's monster to reanimate the egg sacs that he helped create, because that was his villain plot. That's what the entire film was hinging on in terms of our villain plot. It was a plan, but a stupid plan nonetheless.
It wasn't even a good one. Yeah, it was a stupid plot point. You could have had better things.
And I, aside from them making the mistake of calling him Frankenstein, their depiction of the monster wasn't that bad. I liked that they made him intelligent, and he was epic, quoting scripture at the Palace of Vampires as they're bringing him over.
Oh, it was beautiful. That portrayal was excellent, and the actor gave his all. I can't remember his name right off
Yeah,
the top of my head, but
yeah,
he,
and
he
mhm,
it was great stuff. He was
yeah,
probably one of the more compelling characters in the movie.
yeah, and I do appreciate that they made Dracula in the film satanic because that's accurate to the novel.
Yes. Yeah. It was nice that the characters, especially the villainous characters, were actually portrayed very well, considering the source. It was actually closer to the source material, as I understand it. I haven't read the books. I want to. Maybe I will someday. after I'm finished the very large pile in my current library.
I would say the demeanor of Dracula was faithful to the book. I'm not sure I can say everything that he does in the film was
No,
faithful to the book, because I'm sorry, in the movie he doesn't turn into man. In the books, he doesn't turn into Man Bat. As cool of an idea as that is.
it was pretty epic, and the visuals were good. But yeah, no, he's not Man-Bat. He can't do it at well. That would, even though that would be awesome. But yeah, no. Um, let's see. But
Do you
yeah,
have?
what other notes do you have?
Oh, I don't have much. I was actually curious if there was any comments or people watching, or if we're
No,
all alone.
we're all alone here. Even though we let people know we were doing the show.
Aw.
I know.
I was looking forward to the comments on this.
I was too. I was gonna be like, oh, we're gonna make fun of people.
Well, okay, no, well, yeah, I suppose.
I was gonna make fun of people.
Yes. Yes.
There are. Well, it's All Hallows Eve, so people are
Yeah.
probably out, doing
Trick
things
or
with their
treating.
children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Us childless millennials are sitting here lamenting about a film 20 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
We're ridiculous. But they can watch later and then put comments in the comments below, and we can answer them to the best of our ability, because that would be fun.
Mhm.
Shall we wrap up? Because my wife wanted to watch some Halloween specials later tonight.
Ah, sure. Okay.
Yeah. So, like the Garfield one and the Charlie Brown one, the Great Pumpkin.
I got a rock.
I got a rock. Those are great. Those are great viewing. Those are so wholesome and fun. The Garfield one's excellent too. This is my first mate, Odie the Stupid. I'm Orangebeard the pirate. Arr. Lorenzo music. R.I.P. One of the best. The true heir to the great Garfield. Sorry, Bill Murray, you're not the guy. He's not the guy. And sorry, neither are you, Chris Pratt. I love you dearly, but you are not Garfield.
Chris Pratt voiced Garfield. Oh wait.
Newest movie.
Oh, I feel like an idiot now.
It's okay. No one wants to see it. No one saw it. And apparently they're doing a sequel, and I'm like, please, dear, no. Don't do it.
But the money.
No one watches Garfield. If you want to do something in the vein of the originals from the 88 cartoon. Do it like that and get someone who sounds like Lorenzo music. Or, just hire me. I'm cheap. Pay me $2,000 for the whole time I will record. I will get it all done for you. I'm cheap.
Okay.
Or I'll write the darn script and then I'll play Garfield. I will still do it. Same rate. I will do the whole thing. Yeah,
right.
I have a little obsession with Garfield now, especially as a owner of two cats. Actually, I don't own cats. They run the house. But yes.
Have they been behaving? The two mascots?
No, Bianca got demoted because she was causing me technological problems. So she got demoted from tech support. Clarissa's still supervisor, so she's doing fine. but Bianca was causing me mayhem because she's giant and gets in the way of everything. And her fluffy tail gets in my face and I can't see, and then I start sneezing. She's so fluffy. So, like, get off my lap. I don't want you cuddling me, but I've got to work.
I'm gonna sit here now.
Well, she'll sit there for like a second and then start moving. And I'm like, no. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing for her, though. She weighs about 12, 13 pounds, so I can just do bicep curls with her. She doesn't like that, though.
I wonder why.
She's like, what's going on? And then Beth likes to do the Rafiki thing of holding her upright, which is hilarious to watch. So there you go. Anyway, Van Helsing, guilty pleasure movie, not cinematic masterpiece, but it's fun. It's goofy. And actually, there's some parts, even though there are parts of it that have terrible dialogue, but there are also parts that have some of the best back and forth witty commentary that would make that, Marvel could actually sit down and watch. They could learn a thing or two about writing good commentary, about good dialogue. Well, actually, all the modern writers, because there's not that many shows these days that can write good dialogue.
I'd actually be terrified if people today tried to remake Van Helsing at what they do.
They did. They tried to do a sci-fi TV series with a female Van Helsing. Guess how long it lasted?
Well, I'm not referring to that TV show. I'm referring to the actual film idea of having them fight the three monsters.
Oh man.
Yeah, like
they could pay me a few $1,000s and then I'd do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm cheap. But I'd make a better movie and I'd make you money.
Yeah.
Come on, Universal.
Wait, the Van Helsing TV show, that was the post-apocalyptic where instead of the zombies, they had the Russian vampire family.
I don't know. I never watched it because I saw, Van Helsing's a woman. Screw this. Click.
Well, I think it was supposed to be a descendant, I think. But yeah, I saw a few episodes of that.
Even a mutual friend of ours who is a ton more forgiving than either of us of movies. Hold on. I will tell you in the private chat. Where's my private chat? Private chat.
Wow.
He crapped out after 2 episodes.
Wow. Because I don't want to alienate mutual friend from this video, I will resist the temptation to quote from a certain movie that I know mutual friend is a big fan of.
We'll talk offline.
Yes.
We'll talk offline. So bad. Anyway, so I too am terrified if modern Hollywood tried to remake this, but I don't think they're going to anytime soon, considering the last time they tried, it flopped. And
well, honestly, I think the Tom Cruise Mummy film, when they tried to do their Dark Universe, I think that was actually their attempt to rewrite this movie. Or at least lead up to it. Which is sad because Universal was actually the first production company to do the idea of crossovers. Like the MCU, when everybody else is copying them. Then when they attempted to do the Tom Cruise Mummy film, rather than going back to the source, they tried to copy the people copying them. Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
So sad.
So, yeah. Yes, to Van Helsing, the gritty reboot of Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Anyway, that was fun.
Yes.
All right, everyone. We're gonna head out of here because we could talk about this film all night, but unfortunately, it's not wise.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but then we'll start getting angry and start saying bad words.
Yeah.
And I already lamented earlier today. I don't know if you checked our messages in one of our mutual friend chats groups about something. Um,
I'll
I
have to
lamented.
recheck.
I lamented about something because I found out something about a friend of mine and it made me sad.
Oh,
Um, just check the men chat, the guys chat.
yeah, no, I'll check it once we're no longer live.
All right. So anyway, in the meantime, everyone, be bold, be brave, be courageous. Enjoy your movies and your beverages, caffeinated or otherwise. Mine's decaf tonight because I actually want to sleep. Christopher, thank you for coming on and reviewing this together because this
Yes.
was actually a lot of fun. It was fun for me to rewatch it because I hadn't watched it in like 10 years. Um, so it was like, oh man, you know, this is when this was considered bad 20 years ago. This is high art now. What is this?
Yes. All hail the crossbow.
Oh, I won one of those so bad.
I do too.
You're born. That's for home defense.
And I'll have just as good of an aim as Van Helsing did.
I'll be a little bit better.
Yeah, I wouldn't have good aim at all.
Maybe a little bit better. Anyway, be bold, be brave, be courageous. Enjoy your beverages. God bless.